Hey guys, what's up? It is good to see you guys again. Avoidant attachment style has been a huge topic on my channel. I want to talk to you guys tonight about exactly how you fix avoidant attachment style. Now, this is not necessarily how do you actively force a human being to stop being avoidant. This is not going to be coercive brainwashing CIA tactics that will never work. So, what I'm going to show you tonight is for people who are avoidantly attached or for people who love somebody who is avoidantly attached. But if that avoidantly attached person is open to some changes, I'm going to show you tonight how to help that happen. Hey, Clans, good to see you over there. Yes, we are not waterboarding any people who are avoidantly attached tonight. That is not the goal, or emotionally waterboarding either. What we are going to do is talk about where avoidant attachment style comes from, the challenges that it brings, how it feels, right? Very compassionate human being approach tonight. You guys know I don't viciously attack avoidantly attached people. We're going to talk about all of that and then what it takes to fix it, to overcome avoidant attachment style permanently for life. You guys know, I think that you know, that I work with avoidant attachment style extensively inside my coaching practice. Cleanza, high five. Good to see you over there in chat. Welcome, 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 everybody else as well. Glad you are here. Yep, those hearts going on the side. I love that. Thank you. Brings in a lot more people to the channel. Thank you for supporting this channel. Avoidant attachment. You guys know that I work extensively with avoidant attachment in my coaching practice. I help people willingly overcome their avoidant attachment. I work with avoidant men. I also work with a tremendous number of avoidantly attached women. Vital Elements, good to see you over there. Welcome in here. Jeevious, I found your channel a few weeks ago. I've already learned a lot. Thank you. Glad to have you here. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. I work a lot with avoidantly attached men in my coaching channel, here in my coaching practice. Here's what they tend to experience. They come in not because they're like, something's wrong with me. They come in because they say, you know what, my race relationships are not as fulfilling as I'd like them to be. I haven't really experienced deep, intimate connection with other people. I find myself being more dopamine driven in relationships, and that wears off after 6 months. So I don't fall in love with people and stay there. And my relationships die at about 12 months, or they die pretty quickly. I'm never really happy in my relationships. I'm not unhappy, but I'm never fully happy. And the bedroom desire starts to drop off pretty quick as well, male and female, both. But the bedroom desire drops off. A lot of avoidantly attached men come to me and say, Adam, I am only capable of dating women who are 9 or 10 because they give me the most good feelings, but then eventually even that dies off too. So I don't even know what to do. And I've been aiming for them all this time, and I don't know what to do at this point because even that's not working, right? A lot of that. Plus, a lot of them just, they don't feel fulfilled in their life. They don't get what relationships are supposed to be about. They know they're missing something, but they don't know what it is. Okay? We're going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to show you exactly what the brain chemistry is. You guys might have seen my biochemistry of avoidant attachment style video recently. I also work with a lot of avoidantly attached women as well. I'm going to talk about specifics with them really quick. Earl Thompson, good to see you in here. Thank you, Vital and Earl, for both being members who support this channel. I appreciate you so much. You help me do this work. Thank you. Still learning. It's hard to change what has been ingrained for so many years. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is hard. But what you just said right there is exactly right. Attachment styles are behavior patterns. Attachment styles are behavior patterns. That's what you need to be aware of. It is a pattern of behavior that has played out since childhood that has kept you safe, helped you meet your needs, usually safety needs, and keeps you feeling like you have control over your world to some extent because the world makes sense to you. Avoidant attachment style is a survival mechanism that kicks on when you know that when you feel like nobody is going to care for your needs and when you feel like nobody is going to be fair to you. I have a velvet chair, which is nice, but as I sit in it, it makes my shirt like ride up. So if I pull my shirt down, it's the velvet. Avoidant attachment style is based on the belief no one is ever really going to be fair with you. So they stay back from other people and they don't connect with them and they don't be vulnerable to them. They don't solve problems with other people. It's that belief that when people are stressed, they will never be fair with you. So avoidantly attached people, they pull away from conflict. They pull away from closeness. They pull away from moments when they could be trapped. And especially when stress goes up, they get more avoidant and detached. That's what they're avoiding is the experience of losing their freedom and then being taken advantage of and being treated unfairly. That's what they're pulling away from, okay? The vast majority of avoidantly attached people, The research shows 25%. There's been 4 different studies over the last 25 years, 4 studies over the last 25 years, indicating that it's about 50% of the population has attachment issues, and about 25% of the population has avoidant attachment. Okay, 4 research studies have shown that. So 25% avoidantly attached. Okay, the vast majority of them, in my experience, are just trying to avoid being taken advantage of and being mistreated. Now they're trying to survive. They're trying to work hard. They're trying to be ethical. They're trying to be moral people, but they're also trying to avoid being hurt and being taken advantage of. Like I said, it's all about fairness typically for avoidantly attached people. So what are they missing? Brain chemistry. Okay. And this goes for avoidantly attached women as well, men and women. Oxytocin. They're missing oxytocin, the love hormone. Oxytocin is what's released when your cortisol is low and you feel close and safe with other people. Now, avoidantly attached people usually have high cortisol, and especially when they are in an enclosed emotional space with another person that they don't believe is going to be fair with them, which is everybody. So their stress levels go up and it blocks the production of oxytocin so that they don't oxytocin bond with the other person. Okay. Because they have low oxytocin, they will not bond properly with other people. So the first 6 months of a relationship is novelty dopamine typically. And then they do not open up into the oxytocin pathway that maintains ongoing long-term bonding. They do not do that. Okay. So this is why avoidantly attached people, it fizzles out about 6 to 7 months. Then they start counting the cost. It's exhausting. They're not engaged anymore. Their bedroom drive kind of goes down. They're not having fun. And it feels like they are just endlessly pouring feelings and energy into a relationship that's getting diminishing returns. Oxytocin, okay? Missing oxytocin. They're also missing, because they're missing oxytocin, they're missing GABA, G-A-B-A, gamma-aminobutyric acid. GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that shuts down more cortisol, stress. It's an anti-anxiety and antidepressant. This is why a lot of people with avoidant attachment have high anxiety and or depression symptoms. They do have those things because they have low GABA, because they don't have much flowing. Sometimes they have chronic insomnia, sometimes, or just chronic sleep disruptions here and there, especially during times of high stress. GABA helps produce melatonin as well. So oxytocin, GABA, looks like I'm holding a gun. Not good for YouTube. Next one is vasopressin. Vasopressin is a hormone release when you solve problems with other people, when you relieve stress. In other words, when you reduce cortisol by actions with somebody else, your brain tags that person and says they are a good ally who helped me make my stress go away. That actually makes you feel safe. So I've been corresponding lately with Dr. Sue Carter. She is a brilliant researcher on the pathways of vasopressin and oxytocin bonding in mammals. And she talks extensively about how vasopressin makes you feel safe because you have a proven tribe of allies and people who connect with you who make you feel safe. And a lot of avoidantly attached people, pretty much all of them, pull away from other people when they get stressed to solve problems alone and then reconnect with people after having solved that. So they do not get that vasopressin bonding. Really important that they do get it. And when they do get it, it's cool because it goes roundabout and it bonds them even without fixing their attachment. They can still vasopressin bond. So the military can do this. Working in a company, hardcore together and having to solve problems together can do this. Co-founding companies together can do this. So they will sometimes be surprised by how much they bond with, even without fixing their attachment. Serotonin is next. So serotonin is the long-term mood stabilizer. It comes from great conversation, warm connection with another human being. Serotonin is long-term mood enhancer. Okay. You don't get much of that when you don't open up with other people and have deep, intimate relationships and talks with those people. You get very little. Okay, so a lot of people with avoidant attachment style are chasing serotonin through fitness, through nutrition, through like activities, just really hardcore trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel for as much serotonin as they can get. The last one is dopamine, which is primarily what avoidantly attached people are driven by because their brain looks like this. Their brain has none or almost very little of those bonding hormones associated with anybody else, very little GABA, very little serotonin. And it's like this dopamine. So when avoidantly attached people get in relationships, they try to throw dopamine at each other. They try to throw dopamine at the other person. And that's what they're doing when they're love bombing. They just think they're giving dopamine and making someone feel good. They don't mean to get the other person addicted. They don't understand the oxytocin bond. They just know they're making the other person feel happy. And then in return, they expect the other person will try to make them feel happy. And then the other person gets oxytocin bonded and they say, oh no, what have I done? And they run screaming for their life as the other person chases them. So dopamine wears off at 6 or 7 months, right? With the novelty of a new partner, exploring their new body, exploring new activities with them, it starts to wear off. So they have to enact all kinds of new things to try to keep that fresh and novelty and fun. So it's dopamine, 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 dopamine. A lot of people avoid an attachment at 6 to 7, maybe 12 months. They start cruising apps. They start looking for another partner. They start thinking, well, the next one could be even hotter. Really hard for them to settle down into committed relationships because it's all dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. So this is where a lot of avoidantly attached people come into my coaching practice. Avoidantly attached women specifically. I've had a lot of you ladies on the channel lately. And you asked me, well, how does this play out for women differently for men? Often very similar for women and for men. Conventional dating and relationship and romance advice will work opposite for avoidantly attached women. Hold her hand more, talk about your feelings more. They're like, they put the brakes on. Avoidantly attached women, often very low kissing. They're not into foreplay. It actually makes them uncomfortable. They often prefer to face the other direction during bedroom activities. They'll face away so that it minimizes contact. And their drive will actually typically go down, except when they're seeking validation or approval, or they feel good about themselves, or when they're trying to maintain their partner's mood. That's what they see bedroom activities typically for. So they're those are transactional. It's very quick. It's usually, hey, let's rush through a couple of quickies once or twice a week. And that's what a marriage will turn into if they do get married. That's what you can expect there. Other avoidantly attached women will drive through hookup culture for 10, 20 years and brag about how nobody has been able to make them climax. They'll go from one partner to the next and brag about how they throw people away. Those are usually the more manipulative avoidant women, though. Most of the avoidant women will either not date, or they'll date very carefully and selectively, but then that bedroom drive drops off really fast. Keep that in mind. Avoidantly attached women, similar to men, but different processes. Earl Thompson, I built a facade that helps keep people away and keeps me safe. Got it. Explains why my husband doesn't seem bonded after 7 years and 2 babies. Yeah, the things that will bond the average securely attached person or anxiously attached person will usually not bond avoidantly attached people because they are actively resisting it. Their oxytocin receptors often have shifted away from oxytocin into vasopressin bonding. They can shift back, but they have to get a lot of oxytocin bonding. But keep in mind, their cortisol blocks that reception, so they're very unlikely to get oxytocin bonding. It can actually make them scared. So I have a lot of people with avoidant attachment style come into my practice who have a phobic response of oxytocin. Dr. Sue Carter talks about that in one of her research papers, the oxytocin vasopressin pathways in the context of love and fear. I think it was published in the Frontiers Journal, if I remember right. You'd have to look that up. But brilliant research paper. I recommend you read that. It talks about that oxytocin phobic response that a lot of them do experience when they don't experience much oxytocin early in life. So bear that in mind. Avoidantly attached people, therefore, recap. Avoidantly attached men and women. Survival adaptation that clicks on when their brain tells them no one is ever going to care about me. No one is ever going to be fair with me. When other people are stressed out, they are not to be trusted. And openness with others is only a liability with no payoff. And they have never really experienced emotional intimacy in the context of it not being used against them or weaponized or incredibly hurtful. So they run away from emotional intimacy. Many of them have never experienced it at all. So keep that in mind. That's avoidant attachment. Now, that's a pure avoidant attachment. There is disorganized attachment style, which is a blend of anxious and avoidant, a little bit more complicated, a lot more complicated, but purely avoidant people. This is what they're experiencing, and this is why their behaviors are what they are. They are avoiding danger because they are afraid that conflict will lead to unfairness and will lead to them getting exploited. That is ultimately what they are doing. So, how does one fix avoidant attachment style? Well, number one is to even be aware that there is a survival adaptation that makes you resist bonding with other people and that other people are not as dangerous as you think. You have to track the variables of what they do to determine if they are trustworthy or not. It's kind of like the people up there who are afraid that all marriage is doomed to end in divorce because we have a 100% divorce rate. Well, no, 39% of first marriages end in divorce. Then people hear that and say, oh, 39. So it's exactly a 39%. No, it's not exactly a 39% risk of every single first marriage. Every marriage has variables within it that you need to track and reduce those risks as low as possible by working consistently with another person to build a sustainable, loving, intimate relationship. Okay? That's the goal. That's the goal here for avoidantly attached people. So number one, if you want to fix avoidant attachment style, learn the 4 levels of trust, how to trust somebody, when to trust somebody, the clear signs, okay? Signs that they are trustworthy. Number one, they have clear self-policing principles that are predictable. Honesty, integrity, loyalty, compassion, courage, whatever their honor code is, and they are self-policing with it, meaning you don't have to control them or make them stick to it during times of stress. They will gravitate back toward it. Level 1, trust. Level 1, basic trust. Level 2, consistent goals that they aim for that make them predictable, that they are self-policing towards, so you can always predict what's going to happen. Okay? You keep going back to it. Very, very important. Thank you. Marriage causes divorce. Thank you very much. Why is attachment theory well-kept secret? It's because it's not a diagnosis and it can't really be medicated. And so books don't talk much about it. And it was presented initially as a childhood thing. So they have not really generalized it in the mainstream for adults. That is why. That's why I specialized into it, and I became one of the very few people that do. So with clinical practice, clinical experience, all the training that I've had. So that's why. But we're making it mainstream. I just saw Psychology Today. No, New York Post was talking about these attachment challenges and things like this. So we're getting there, you guys. I think I'm afraid of the intimacy because then she will know me. And then do what? Earl, and thanks for that honesty, but what? Once they know you, what? They use it against you. They reject you. They hurt you with it. They manipulate you with it. Anxiously attached person would say, then they'll see me that I'm a fraud and abandon me. Anxious attachment is defined by fear of abandonment. Avoidant attachment is defined by fear of being trapped and unfair. Trapped and people being unfair against you. That's how that goes. How can an avoidant initiate relationships in a healthy way? Number one, learning about your avoidant attachment. Learning how to filter for trust and then building that trust carefully with the other person. Okay? 4 levels of trust. Principles, goals. These make you predictable. Self-policing with both of those. Mutual acceptance, so the other person's aware of their shortcomings and right up front with it and takes ownership of it, and then is accepting of your shortcomings without enabling you and expects you to take ownership of it. So both sides take full ownership of their issues, and again, self-policing. And then level 4, mutual fulfillment, being able to track fairness, full fairness with each other and desiring full fairness, because avoidant attachment thrives when both people openly talk about what's fair and what's not, using the word fair, fair, fair over and over and over. This is something when I have clients come in who say, my boyfriend's avoidant, what should I do? Be fair and say the word fair and say, I want to be fair with you. What will be the most fair thing to you? What would feel fair to you? How can we make sure we are being fair with each other? And I mean it on both sides. Okay. A secure relationship is the answer to an avoidant person's fears. A secure relationship is based on sustainability. Okay, I use the word secure all the time. Yes, it should be secure, but what is the role of secure attachment? To build sustainable, lifelong relationships where you are caring for each other. So, sustainable requires mutual fulfillment and fairness. Now, that does not require an exact 50-50 split on every outcome where everybody gets exactly 50-50 every single time. Sometimes one person gets 60-40 and they're both comfortable with that. And the next time it will be 40-60 the other way, where they're both comfortable with that. They give and take. People who are secure are happy sometimes to receive less. So you receive a little more, knowing that in the future they will receive a little more and you'll receive a little less because it's sustainable. They are looking for the long-term sustainable values and sustainable connections. That's ultimately the answer for avoidant attachment. To only engage in relationships that are sustainable, but to understand the mechanisms of making a sustainable relationship, which yes, does come down to secure attachment style. I'll be honest with you. Building secure attachment for yourself. I've plenty of guides on how to do that here on the channel. I've got the Attachment Bootcamp video course. Guys, right now I have single coaching sessions with me at 50% off on my website, adamlanesmith.com. You want to learn how to build secure attachment, I will teach you right now personally. In coaching and a course, whatever you need, let me know. Check my website, leave a comment, whatever's helpful. But build a securely attached relationship and connect to people who value sustainability more than they value instant gratification. If you are an avoidantly attached person, being around people who value instant gratification is the problem. You probably grew up with people who valued instant gratification. You probably grew up with people who were unfair to each other. You probably grew up with people who are unfair to you. These are people who value instant gratification over long-term sustainability. When I say it like that, then the avoidant person's belief that there is nobody on the planet that values sustainable relationships sounds foolish. It's not foolish. I get where you're coming from, but it sounds foolish because yes, there are people who do value long-term sustainable relationships. It's just that you have unfortunately trended in the direction of mostly being around people who don't, partly because you are over there dopamine driven and you are giving dopamine to other people. Your mechanism is to give out instant gratification on the spot over and over and over and over and over without forming intimate connections. So what's going to happen? People who walk in expecting long-term relationships with you, you're going to go dopamine, 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 and they're going to go, ugh, and it feels uncomfortable, like skin to skin, like friction burn, and they go, ugh, and they back off because they know it's not sustainable. You're accidentally flagging as disinterested to healthy, secure people who will immediately walk away from you thinking that your door is closed. Now, you're going to pull in the addicts who are looking for dopamine or the addicts who are looking for oxytocin and who get that when you are trying to give them dopamine. You're going to pull in the anxiously attached people who smother you, or you're going to pull in the manipulative people who just want to exploit you and get as much dopamine as possible. Your very behaviors are designed to drive away secure people that you don't even know exist and to pull in as a defense mechanism the very people who are going to make you miserable. That's why avoidant attached people say, Adam, there is no such thing as a secure person on this planet. I've been here for 40, 50 years. I've never really met a secure person who was fair. I've never met somebody who values sustainable relationships. Yes, you have. You have accidentally driven them away, unfortunately. And you don't know how to draw them in. You don't know how to connect with them. Okay? You don't know how. Learning to build sustainable relationships, learning not to dopamine binge the other person, learning how to build sustainable relationships, learning how to flag as interested for healthy, secure people, learning what healthy, secure people want from you. The same 4 levels of trust, right? Displaying your principles openly takes guts to do that. Displaying your goals, chasing them, being self-policing. At the same time, mutual acceptance of baggage, of challenges, while taking ownership of them, being open about that. That requires some vulnerability and some intimacy. And then being mutually fulfilling and making sure that everything is fair. Those 4 levels of trust that you work through slowly with somebody, but you bring them in more and more. As you do that, that displays interest and trust with the other person. Healthy, secure people who want sustainable relationships are looking for that from you. Now, if you go back on my channel and you watch my 3-date method, you will see that I'm applying all 4 levels of trust into the 3-date method so that avoidantly attached people can date very comfortably and build an emotionally intimate relationship in the first 3 dates. Anxiously attached people can use that same 3-date method and make that connection. Marriage causes divorce. Thank you for that donation. I appreciate you. Your channel should have 10 million subs. I agree. I wish I knew about this channel 10 years ago. It's sad no one has heard out of it. I appreciate that. Why do men turn on avoidant? Usually because their family members were not fair. Their family members were chaotic. Their family members didn't just hurt them. Their family members hurt each other. Their family members used manipulative tactics that felt really uncomfortable. Their family members did miserable things and acted miserable. So that person learned being close to people is painful and unbearable. And I don't really want to be around those people. And I want to keep people at arm's length because it's the only way to stay safe from getting mistreated. They don't get hardly any oxytocin in childhood. So they don't really know what the experience of being close with somebody is. So then they just think being close to people is a liability with no pleasure and no payoff. That's why they are avoidant. That's why. And like I said, they usually have an oxytocin phobic response where they just want to stay away from people. Some of them, a small percentage, but some of them are very manipulative and hurtful. And when we hear the words covert narcissist and all the fancy terms that really mean manipulatively avoidant, right? It means they're afraid and they're afraid of getting hurt. So, fairness. How do you fix avoidant attachment style? Learning how to build trust, learning who to trust, and focusing on relationships that are sustainable, meaning fair and mutually fulfilling. Fair and mutually fulfilling with clear, open, transparent dialogue about what's happening, about the contracts you're making, about the expectations you have, about what is needed and who and what and when and how and why. All of that needs to be clear and agreed upon openly together. That is the answer for how to fix avoidant attachment. Yes, but then when they learn, you're alone again. When they learn what? When they learn what, Earl? When they learn what? Help me out there. I'm here to answer. This is how to fix avoidant attachment style. Okay. But the biggest, the number one challenge that I experience time and again, the biggest battle with avoidantly attached people is getting them to even believe that there's another way of relating. Not because they're bad, not because they're stupid. They're not. And I'm saying this not for avoidant people. I'm saying this for everybody who demonizes them out there. They're not bad. They're not stupid. They're not resistant. They're not just, just stubborn. They have never seen a relationship where someone was truly fair to them. So they come along, they hear some guy saying, just be happy, just trust people, intimate relationships. Yay, it's wonderful. And they say, what is this person lying about now? It sounds like a scam. I know that. It sounds impossible. I know that too. Okay. I know it sounds impossible that there are people out there who will value intimate relationships and honesty. It sounds impossible that there are self-policing, ethical, moral people who really want long-term sustainability instead of short-term gratification. I will tell you, those people definitely exist, and they're about half of the population in the developed world. It's actually larger in the undeveloped world, or in other areas that are not overwhelmingly urban. Places where family structures are still intact, places where honesty is still valued. More places like that are based on more trust and honesty in the culture. 50%, 50%. Based on 4 different studies conducted over the last 25 years. Avoidant people, the biggest battle is getting them to believe that there is any way to live that is not going to get them harmed. I don't say hurt, because when you take this path, yes, you are risking getting hurt. You are risking meeting jerks. You are risking opening up to someone who turns out to be a mean person. You are risking that. Yes, you are. But going through the levels of trust carefully, working diligently for sustainable fairness, you can usually filter those people out very quickly and early on in the process so they don't get in that deep. And by not running this process, typically you are robbing yourself of all of the joy, and you are robbing yourself of truly winning in your life by building fulfilling, sustaining relationships that make you feel incredible. You're bleeding all the color out of your world and living in a black and white, very unhappy, cold world When you fix your attachment and you become secure and you build selective relationships with the right people that are fulfilling and fair and enriching to both of you, you all win together. And that's the goal. That's the goal. That is the goal of secure attachment. Okay. Now, it's that part of the night. I am going to turn on members only chat. I'm going to take direct questions from my members. I'm here for that. You guys support me. I'm going to support you right back. So thank you. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Members only chat. If you want to join members, it's right down wherever the buttons are. My camera's reversed. It's on the bottom that says join. You click the join button. You can do join and support the channel. You can go inner circle and start getting special things and connecting there. You can do all kinds of good pieces on support on joining and becoming a member. Please help support this channel. It really helps me out. Members who are over in chat, pop in. Marriage causes divorce. I'll take that. You're donating, so I appreciate that. How long does it take for an avoidant to become secure? Would they relapse and go back to being avoidant? Seems like a genetic thing. It is not genetic, but it does pass down through family lines because it's a trained behavior pattern. And one avoidant person often can lead right to the next avoidant person because it's all they understand. So not genetic. How long does it take? It depends if they are ready to fix it or not. They can fix it very, very fast if they have some good people in their life and build it in. Will they ever relapse? They may have moments when they are stressed out where they pull away from other people, but their loving relationships will usually draw them back out. And that the brain cocktail, instead of being like this, dopamine only, they get all those brain chemicals that pulls them back into healthy relationships. So there you go. Cappy Girl, thank you so much for joining. Support the channel. I appreciate you becoming a member. Again, thank you. I appreciate you coming back. How can I help you, and what questions do you have tonight? Members, the floor is yours. What questions on avoidant attachment do you have, and how can I help? Can avoidance become secure with therapy alone? You know, it depends. Therapists, unfortunately, most of them do not know attachment theory because they are not trained on attachment theory. How do I know this? I was a licensed marriage and family therapist. I went through graduate school. They say, here's this thing called attachment theory. It was really just for babies. It was made back in the 60s. Who cares? We're just going to move through it really quick. Doesn't have anything to do with adults. Goodbye. And they move right on by. No, the only thing it has to do with adults is personality disorders. And let's not worry about that because those are their own diagnosis. And almost every therapist I've ever spoken to across the United States, in Canada, in Europe, all of them say that was the training they got as well. So unfortunately, it's just a very underutilized kind of thing. Unfortunately, I wish it was not. That's why it is my specialty. It's why I've devoted my life to teaching it everywhere I can. How do I fix me? I've tried and I seem to go nowhere. Well, Earl, there's a couple steps. If you are purely avoidant, then you need to connect with honestly good, sustainable-minded, securely attached people who want to build sustainable relationships with you long-term. And you open up with them and you form that connection with them and you share with them about how you are experiencing this. You share with them what you want to experience, what you want to build together. Think of it that way. You share that with them. When you do that, you will start having a different experience and a different bond. I'm in therapy and she knows attachment therapy. Cool. Attachment theory. Knowledge to both of you, Cappy Girl and Earl, gaining knowledge about attachment and then having the experiences that change your brain chemistry, right? We talked about how the avoidant brain is dopamine only, but getting experiences that give you the oxytocin bond, the GABA flow, the vasopressin bond, the serotonin connections, and yes, a little bit of dopamine. But when your brain looks like this, that's how you fix that avoidant attachment. You get that through experiences. Hearing about it, learning about it, intellectualizing it, that will do almost nothing for you until you move into the experience phase. That's why people come into my coaching and I guide them through that and say, okay, here's an experience. Here's what to say. Here's who to talk to. Tell me your list of good people. That's the person right there, that person and that person. Go to them this week. Have this conversation. Build this foundation. Have this talk. Say these words. Here's a note card. Go read it off. They come back and say, wow, that was amazing. I feel different. Cool. Here's how we're going to follow up on it. Go have this conversation. Now have this conversation. Do this. The experiences are what change you. So if you need that with me, again, my coaching is currently on 50% discount for a single session this month. Do not hesitate to reach out on my website and pick one of those up or leave a comment. Let me know. Earl, I can guide you through that personally. Kayla, good to see you again. Hey, Adam, how can a guy tell when his attachment's getting better? He is able to push through the fear and the nervousness and have the conversations anyway. He is able to ask the deeper questions he couldn't ask before. And he is experiencing those different brain chemicals that will actually make him feel better. His mood will be different. His brain will function a little bit differently. He will like different things. It gets better. My avoidant thinks everything's a fight or an argument. I let him know we were just having a conversation. Yeah, that's that belief that you're not going to be fair with him. So if he's willing to work with you, here's what you can do is step up the rhetoric around, look, I understand you're concerned. I want us to be fair. I want this to be fair to you. You look stressed. Does something feel unfair to you? What can we do to make sure it feels fair? Cappy girl, that's the number one thing that you can start doing is using the word fair 85 times a day. You have to follow up on actually being fair, but asking that question, hey, you know what? It looks like maybe you feel something's not fair. What feels unfair to you? And how can we make sure that it is fair? What do we need to change? That right there, it blows an avoidant person's mind because somebody is being fair with them, and that's the opposite of their context for the world. So, fairness. Yes, I get no arguments, and I'm so competitive, I have to win. That's it. You have to win because no one's going to be fair with you. And then once you have won, you can be generous with the person who has lost, but you don't believe they will be generous with you. You don't even believe they will be fair with you. That's avoidant attachment style. That's what that is. The heart of fixing your avoidant attachment is giving the other person a chance to be fair with you before you make them. Giving them a chance to be fair with you. Even if you talk with them and say, hey, look, I need us to make sure that we are being fair for each other. Okay, cool. You give them a chance. Make sense? But you still collaborate with them, being hopeful that they will be fair. That's really what attachment looks like when it has healed, when avoidant has gone secure. Think of it that way. Great questions tonight, you guys. What other questions do you have tonight on this topic, on avoidant attachment style? Whatever you've got. I know people are going to pop in later after watching this live. You're welcome to drop comments down below on avoidant attachment. I can answer those. I'll pop in and answer those as well. So if you're catching this afterward, that is totally okay. Keep in mind, you can go to my website, adamlanesmith.com, pick up coaching sessions with me at half price, the attachment bootcamp video course. Everything is available on there. Everybody who's watching this as well, if you're interested in more about avoidant attachment, if you have somehow not seen my How to Love an Avoidant Man video section, go watch that mini series that I produced. I have video number 3 coming soon. How to Love an Avoidant Man. Specifically, how to work with an avoidant man to get into a fully committed relationship and into marriage. Anybody out there who wants to learn how to not manipulate or trap an avoidant man in marriage, but to lovingly walk with him into a willing marriage, that will come soon. That video will come soon. I'm actually scripting it out right now to make sure it's going to be right. And then I've got my production team working on it. We're going to film it and make it beautiful. So that's coming soon. Excellent material, Earl says. Thank you. I'm glad. I've got How to Love an Avoidant Man Part 1 and Part 2, the biochemistry of avoidant attachment style. I've got How to Fix Avoidant Attachment Style coming soon. This was a micro version of that longer video that's coming soon. That guide, How to Love an Avoidant Woman, is coming very soon to the channel. How to Love an Anxious Woman, for anybody who is avoidantly attached and is looking at building a relationship with an anxious partner and wants to love them diligently as they are doing their work to become secure. All of that is coming very soon, you guys. So look forward to that on the channel real quick. And again, I invite you guys to leave comments down below with questions that you have on this topic. Looks like that might be all the questions we have tonight from members. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you are willing to learn about secure attachment and avoidant attachment. Again, this is not a place where we demonize people who have avoidant attachment. I am here to help. I'm here to help. You guys get kicked around enough as it is. This is a place where we will be fair. So thank you guys for supporting. I appreciate you. Oh, one more question over here. As a non-avoidant, I just want to tell avoidants, most of us are trying to have close connections. That's it. That's 100% it. The tragedy of this piece is that avoidantly attached people don't believe anyone will ever be fair to them. And most people do just want to be fair with them, but they've never really experienced that. So we need to help people understand who is trying to be fair and how to tell when it's real, and how to tell when the other person is accidentally smothering you, and then how to move them back a little bit. That's what that video, How to Love an Anxious Woman, is. It's coming really soon on my channel. So thank you, Cappy Girl, for that last one. I will see you guys later. I'll see you tomorrow night, same time, same place. Thank you for being here. Good night.